Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and stories from around the world. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're taking a closer look at the escalating tensions between Russia and Finland. The two nations have a complex history, dating back to World War II, when Finland fought against the Soviet Union in the Winter War. Recently, Russia has been ramping up its rhetoric against Finland, accusing the country of being a Nazi collaborator during the war. This narrative is part of a larger strategy by Russia to control the past and shape the future. By portraying itself as the hero of World War II, Russia aims to legitimize its modern imperial ambitions and delegitimize its opponents. But what's behind this sudden escalation? Is it just a matter of historical revisionism, or is there something more at play? Finland's decision to join NATO has likely played a role in Russia's increased aggression. Moscow sees Finland's membership as a threat to its national security and is using history as a tool to undermine the country's reputation. We've seen this playbook before. Russia has used similar tactics against Ukraine, Poland, and other Eastern European countries. By manipulating historical narratives, Russia aims to create divisions and sow discord among its adversaries. But Finland is not alone in this fight. The country has received support from its NATO allies, who have condemned Russia's actions as a form of historical revisionism. As we continue to follow this story, it's essential to remember that history is complex and multifaceted. While Finland did fight against the Soviet Union during World War II, it was not a formal ally of the Axis powers. The country's relationship with Nazi Germany was complicated, and its actions were driven by a desire to regain lost territories and ensure its survival. The implications of this dispute go far beyond Finland and Russia. It highlights the importance of historical accuracy and the need for nations to approach the past with nuance and sensitivity. As we move forward, it's crucial that we prioritize fact-based discourse and avoid simplistic or biased narratives. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the complex and ever-evolving situation in Venezuela. As you may know, the Trump administration has been actively involved in shaping the country's future, with President Trump recently suggesting that the U.S. could be in charge of Venezuela for years to come. But not everyone is on board with this plan. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has spoken out against the idea, warning that if the U.S. were to control Venezuela for an extended period, the country would implode. Petro's concerns are rooted in the potential for social unrest and instability, as well as the implications of U.S. oversight on Venezuela's resources. The Trump administration has already announced plans to take control of selling Venezuela's oil and is pushing American companies to invest billions in rebuilding the country's oil infrastructure. But Petro argues that this approach undermines the sovereignty of Latin American nations and sets a troubling precedent for U.S. involvement in the region. Meanwhile, President Trump is set to meet with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado next week, despite some doubts about her viability as a leader. Machado has been a prominent figure in the opposition, but her support within Venezuela is not universally accepted. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's vice president, has been sworn in as interim president. As the situation in Venezuela continues to unfold, it's clear that there are many different perspectives and interests at play. While some see U.S. involvement as a necessary step towards stability and prosperity, others view it as a threat to sovereignty and self-determination. As we navigate this complex landscape, it's essential to consider multiple viewpoints and approach the issue with nuance and understanding. Welcome back to Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, we're turning our attention to a developing story in the Middle East. Yemen's Southern Transitional Council, a key player in the country's complex conflict, has announced that it will be dismantling its institutions, effective immediately. This move comes after weeks of unrest in southern areas and just a day after the council's leader, Addaris al-Zubaydi, fled to the United Arab Emirates. The decision to dismantle the council was made in response to recent events in the governorates of Hadramaut and Al-Mahra, where the STC had moved in last month and seized an oil-rich region. This push led to a confrontation with forces affiliated with the Saudi-led coalition, which is fighting against Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. The Council's Secretary-General, Abdul Rahman Jalal al-Sabaihi, announced the decision in a televised address, stating that the STC's continued existence no longer serves its purpose. He added that all of the Council's main agencies and subsidiaries will be dissolved, and its offices inside and outside Yemen will be closed. It's worth noting that there appears to be an internal divide within the STC, with some members suggesting that decisions related to the Council can only be made by the Council in its entirety and under its president. Despite this, Saudi Defense Minister Khalid bin Salman has welcomed the move, saying that the southern issue is now on a real path towards finding solutions that meet the aspirations of the people of the South. As the situation continues to unfold, it's clear that the dismantling of the Southern Transitional Council will have significant implications for Yemen's future. With various factions and international players involved, the road ahead will likely be complex and challenging. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.